Okay, I'm going to begin. Help yourself if you want to come sit down. I'm going to start. Welcome, everybody. Really glad that the 10 of you could make it. My name is Esther. I'll just do an introduction about myself and this panel talk for anyone who doesn't know what this is and what they've attended. I am a community builder. It's an interesting word. We're going to explore what that means. But I do a lot of events, projects, curation, and I also DJ, and I'm very heavily invested. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Come sit down. I'm very invested in the development of the alternative and underground Copenhagen club scene, music scene, alternative scene. And I'm working with Panini Radio to develop this talk about community radio, specifically in Copenhagen. And when we say that, we're going to explore what community radio means. We're going to talk about the avenues in which people who are not from Copenhagen or Denmark use these platforms to find their community and have access into the alternative music scene. And then we're going to explore future opportunities. So what does that mean? How do these platforms, these three lovely people who have joined me, aspire to build our small scene who are here at this festival today, for example? So I'm going to start the conversation by allowing you all three to shortly introduce yourself. So what's your name? What platform do you represent? And what do you do? And then we'll dive into the conversation.
All right. Yeah, my name is Anthon, and I run a small radio outlet, as I will call it, because we're not a full-fledged station yet, called PalmsPree FM. And we are located in the small record store called PalmsPree Records on Stefansgade on Nørrebro. And I've been doing radio in all kinds of different settings throughout the past 20-something years, on and off. And we just kicked off this new station in October last year. So we are probably at the moment the youngest station to come out of Copenhagen. Yeah. And I think that's probably a good start.
Yes, and my name is Louise, and I represent the Lake Radio. And I've been engaged with the Lake Radio because I'm not the founder of the Lake Radio. I'm just producing radio and volunteer in making the Lake Radio work as it is. And I think that I've been... the way that I found the Lake Radio was because I produce radio in very different ways, but I needed a platform where I could talk about music that is not mainstream. And I was like, where can I go? And I had a interview with Mother, and I was like, can I go here? And I found this platform, and I started practicing making radio there, and that was a really good chance for me to start making radio. So, yeah.
Nice. I'm Francesco. I'm from Radio Panini. And we started around 1 year and a half ago in January last year. And Radio Panini is like a community radio and Panini bar operating from two clubs in meatpacking right now here in Copenhagen, Bagen and Jolene. So we could say like we are a little bit of like a odd station with like we put a lot of focus both on the online part and like listenership, but also on the real life experience. And we broadcast every Friday and Saturday from the dance floor of these two clubs. So you can join us in real life or tune in and And I'm been doing radio shows for the past almost 10 years, and been thinking about having my own station for quite some time, and trying to figure out what radio could mean in 2025, especially independent radios.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go back to what actually community radio means, if we look at the wider landscape, we have public radio, we have commercial radio, and then community radio serves its own purpose, mostly for more niche crowd, for more alternative sounds, or marginalized communities, whatever that may be. A little background about myself. I grew up in the UK, and I was exposed to pirate radio. This is through my elder cousin, so I am very familiar with alternative radios and very independent radios, and what that means in developing your skill set, not only as a DJ, but as we were talking about before, somebody who curates your shows, somebody who knows how to talk about your music, somebody who's willing to promote others other than yourself. And I feel like for me, community radio, Sub FM, where I was introduced to dubstep in a very niche, perhaps bro-y environment, helped me to develop my practice. So I wanted to start the conversation off by talking about your independent or commercial or community platforms, and what does community really mean? We should define that word before we talk about community radio. So I think I want to start with you, since you're the newest and you already have a record store that's pretty well known, I would say, in Copenhagen.
Thanks. Well, I mean, record stores have always been a hub for different scenes meeting. I think that my store is like, we have a wide range of music, and people buy, like, they buy a Edith Piaf record, and they buy a techno record, and they buy an Afrobeat record in the same go, and it kind of shows that we're not really. I think maybe I'm blind about this, but I tend to think that we're not like rooted in some specific scene. So we get a big community just of music lovers, and that naturally kind of reflects on the stuff that we're programming. I'm doing a 4-hour Monday show every Monday. Then we have a midweek show slot that's shifting, and then we have all kinds of some live recordings, concerts that we kind of broadcast and rebroadcast the week after. So I've never really thought about the whole, like, I'm gonna do a community radio, because I've been doing this for so long that it just comes naturally without me trying to define that we are a community, or no, we're just a bunch of people that meet, and I meet new people every day that I've never met before, that introduces me to new music. So the whole community thing just comes pretty naturally.
For me, it sounds like it's these shared values that we have. So for you, it's people who perhaps have an open mind to exploring different styles of music. And I would say, the whole ritual of going to a record store every week when a new album or EP dropped, and then meeting people, then speaking to the record store owner, asking them when this LP is going to be released, is, I think, a ritual that a lot of us DJs have lost. So you keep this element of the quote-unquote community alive. But your platform, I would say, is an internet radio. And I guess I want to slowly do a swift move over here. Lake Radio is exclusively online, and you cater to mostly listening audience. So there isn't necessarily a place for people to go, unlike Panini, to meet each other or create a physical community in a sense. It's all online.
Yeah, that's true. And that also makes it a little bit abstract to maybe like define community in this sense, because our community is not necessarily together in a physical space, as you say, or the ones who are producing the radio is not maybe so visual in terms of being recorded on video and stuff like that. But I think, just to say, as you say, the Lake Radio is an online radio, and we have this 24-hour stream of music, you know, the classic play button that you press, and the music that is curated for the Lake Radio is, you know, we aim for this kind of like listening experience where you don't know what's next. And this is an archive of music that has slowly been built up since 2014 when the radio started. And I guess the community slowly formed throughout those years, because I think first and foremost, we are defined as an independent radio, an alternative to mainstream media, and out of the necessity, or like the, you know, that we needed a platform for these kind of musics and sounds, I would say, to be heard. And so I would say that the community around the Lake Radio is both listeners who submit music and contribute, and people who come around and make an obscure show about something that they really want to, and then stick around and slowly try to create some sort of, and that it develops a community, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. And I would actually argue that's how I got into Panini. Whenever I came, there was definitely a strong Italian community. Is that wrong for me to say that?
No, I guess it's very much not wrong. No.
I think when we talk about community and who we invite in, it's also important for us to recognize perhaps who's excluded or who doesn't feel like they belong in these spaces. I would say at Panini, I definitely felt like I belong, and it definitely developed as a word for mouth for me anyway. I saw a lot of my friends were playing. I saw a lot of really interesting international DJs were playing, so it invited me to actually come to the physical space. How would you describe Panini as a community platform?
Thanks for hinting that, because that's actually really much the point, and sometimes I forget about it. Radio Panini was actually born to be a place for everyone, where everybody will feel welcome, where all sorts of music are actually welcome and represented. It shouldn't be forced. It's something that should come naturally. And obviously there is some sort of bias, because I'm the founder and I started creating the programming, and I'm deeply rooted in the electronic, especially dance floor electronic genres and niche. But I always try to be open-minded about what kind of music we play, because it needs to reflect the varied community that we represent and we offer something to. And I think I just had a very nice talk just last weekend, 4 a.m. talk with a friend on the rooftop at Jolene. Don't tell the commune. And Pierre is one of our people that come most often to Panini. And it was there when we first had our community get together before we actually launched, and we actually said something that Radio Panini was supposed to be a place where you could feel welcome, and in a community that sometimes can be a little bit like elitist or closed, at least. And it was a place where me and my partner Simone in this and other people that came to Copenhagen maybe 10 years ago, a place where we would like to spend time at, because we would have a way of meeting like-minded people. How these like-minded people come together, what is, the attraction point, what is the actual value point for them, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's a bunch of different things. But yeah, yes, I lost a little bit.
It's okay. I want to talk about how people who aren't native to Denmark or Copenhagen use these platforms as an access point, either as artists, DJs, or want to explore the music scene at some point. But before we go there, I want to open up the floor to anyone who might have any questions for either PalmsPree, the Lake, or Panini, whether it's about your experience playing, whether it's about how you can play. If there are any questions, the floor is open right now.
Jerry, come down here. You need a mic. That's good. I think we have a whole section about this, right?
Yeah, how do we see Radio Panini developing in the next year? We're gonna leave some time at the end for future goals and aspirations, but yeah, really good question. Okay, next section. So what I want to talk about, now we've all agreed on somewhat what community radio is, who do your individual platforms serve? Let's talk about that more specifically. Also, as curators and maybe a representative of the Lake, how do you feel like you perhaps have some bias towards some of the styles that you focus on? And do you see that as a problem? And what can we learn from each other if we want to widen that and allow more people to come into the our platforms?
I mean, my goal is that we will present people to music that they didn't know about before, and we're gonna do it in a very not elitist way. Like I kind of have the same with my record store. Like a lot of people come in and think that they ask stupid questions because they don't know the origin of this genre or know what's good. And we're gonna try to guide these people, no matter how much you know about anything in music, in an open-minded way that don't really push you away, but more like tell you a story about like how this music started and what's going on as far as we can, as far as we know ourselves. So yeah, I'm not sure this is answering the questions, but I want to translate that to the radio. That we're gonna take people a bit in the hand with the shows, like tell people like a bit about like, okay, so this track from Jeff Mills or something, it got some references to Afrobeat music, or we're gonna try to guide people in some way through this. So it's not like you don't have to listen to our radio and be an expert. We're gonna do our part to kind of invite you in and teach you what we know, and that's I think that's I want as many people to listen to this, like even though they don't know anything. So I'm trying to I want to.
I think just openly saying that is really good because I would argue there are a few platforms in Copenhagen where myself, with the music I play, I don't feel like I would be able to play. For example, I don't feel like I could play at PalmsPree FM. I don't think jungle maybe would make sense on your radio.
Everything makes sense. I mean, we have all kinds of people. I mean, I play a lot of I play a bunch of stuff like jazz, house, folk, ambient. There's like no kind of rules. Like as long as it's good music within the genre, and there's a bunch of genres that I don't know. I mean, if you were coming to me and you know a ton about drum and bass music or other kinds of stuff, it's we're pretty open to whatever you're gonna come with, as long as you know about your stuff and you have some idea of how you want to present it to other people. Because with our shows, like the whole presenting is very important, and that's like I have very few rules, but one rule is that you have to talk about the music as well. I mean, you got to present it, and why is this? Why do we need to hear this now? It doesn't have to be like it could be because it's sunny outside, or it could be all kinds of different things. So that's an important thing. Yeah.
So having these just the basic minimum skill set to be able to talk about your music, and I guess for the Lake, seeing as you're exclusively a listen-only platform, presenters who can talk about their music and present it in a way that's enjoyable for a listener, that's also really important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of what we do, talk about the music. I think that it's an interesting question because, as you said, like, I think we are biased, and I think that even though we all in our platforms aim to be open and have a lot of invite people in and present different genres and stuff like that, of course, when you are independent and you are not making radio on the premises of a market, or then you are doing it on the premises of the people who are there and who are engaged, and that's also a question of like energy and time and passion, stuff like that. So of course the tastes or the curiosities of the people making contents will somehow create the platform. But we also try to invite content creators into where we talk together about how do we represent across genres, or how do we do in different, like if we curate stuff, we try to openly have these discussions. But I think it's a struggle you can always do better, I think, in terms of representation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for you, Francesco, we've had conversations about how Panini, maybe because of the format, and I've seen this with other internet radio, especially video-focused radio, a lot of DJs want to do promo mixes, and there isn't so much focus on presentation, on the curatorial element of it, where you tell a story. With that, can you see that you've leaned towards a bias of having DJs who can deliver a good show?
Absolutely, yeah. And I must be honest, that's what it is. It's not what we talked already about it. It was not what we were aiming to have. It's not a DJ only platform we want to create. But inherently, I think probably it has something to do with the video, and probably also in terms of curational approach and was the people behind our programming. We're now a team of 4 or 5 people, all coming from dance music scene. So maybe there is a little bit of bias there, but we are definitely very interested in opening up to different kind of shows. Obviously, compared to the lake, we only broadcast twice a week, even though now we have the infrastructure to broadcast 24/7 potentially. That the ambition is that when we can open up to more days, more also, time of the day. I would very much hope that we can attract people with different ideas and different approaches to radio. Definitely, DJ mixing is not the only thing you guys can do. It's nice, but especially if you are invited. Actually, I would like to soon enough ask our residents to at least once every second show to bring in a guest, to bring in some words, and to make it a little bit more entertaining, not only strictly DJ mixing, because how many prog house DJ mixes can you make in a year? There's also all this problem of over pollution or oversharing. There's so much content out there right now. Listeners can literally there is thousands and thousands of mixtapes released every day and radio shows. We need to keep it interesting. We need to also push a little bit the envelope and try to do something a little bit more creative and experimental. So if anything out there is listening, here in the audience or later online, if you have some ideas about some cool shows that don't rely only on mixing and showing off your mixing skills, please reach out. We are looking for you.
A little remark.
Yes.
It was just because I don't know if I gave the impression that we are sending live 24/7, but it's just the music stream, and then we do a lot of pre-recorded programs.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
we could do that as well.
Yeah, and I
we
think
just don't have the time right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that's a good solution to also you can just take your time and create your content, and then also if you're a little bit insecure about making radio, try to just slowly learn how to make a show and then send it out and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of we can talk about it later, maybe in the future developments. But I think there is doing pre-recorded shows, for example, there is a lot of opportunities to involve the community and your residents and curators in a different way.
Yes,
some ideas, but
and that's actually the next topic we're going to go on to.
Nice.
Before we move on to the volunteering element, because maintaining, structuring, organizing these platforms takes a lot of voluntary time.
Preach.
It takes a lot of free labor. It takes a lot of probably people here participate in their free time. How do you each involve volunteers if you do? We had a really lovely conversation. One thing that I enjoyed hearing is that part of PalmsPree FM is that it can be used as a platform to learn how to do more presenting style shows. So if you've never done that before, having a platform where you can go in, spend an hour talking about an album in a very introspective, very nerdy way, and you're there as support, is one way that the value exchange for someone's free time can be exchanged for an opportunity to grow their skills as a presenter. So how do you, one, use your free time to maintain your radio, and how do volunteers get involved if they do?
I mean, right now I'm the only volunteers, but we have all the hosts are, of course, volunteering in doing their shows. We're trying to make the whole setup so smooth and easy that people can press a few buttons and then they go live, or they press a few buttons and they pre-record their show, which takes off a lot of the burden of doing this. I mean, I've seen a couple of stations that were relying too much on a technician, and that kind of like, even though it sounds like the smallest thing, you know, if that technician weren't there, everything would fall apart for that broadcast. So it only takes like very few to jump ship. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. Also that the hosts can kind of, if they need to, make a few edits of the show they made to make it ready for broadcast, or like upload after the live. I mean, we're doing primarily live broadcasts. We're doing some pre-recorded stuff in case of people need to do something else on Wednesday morning, which a lot of people need to do. So we haven't gone into the whole volunteering that much. I mean, so we are still in the very early stages. So like up until this point, it's been trial and error, like troubleshooting, finding out the bugs, and then from that point on we can kind of get more people in to help doing stuff. I mean, we're not that big of an operation. I believe like stuff like Panini Radio is a bigger setup. I mean, there's a lot of technical stuff and that needs to be set up and running, and it takes like at least a few people to make everything run smoothly. Right now we're like we don't have any video on; it's strictly audio. But very soon we'll need some more help, especially like in the whole field of like post production and like track listing and like show descriptions and so on. So yeah, we're still on a low need, but very soon in a high need of more people.
Okay, we'll put a pin in that and we'll do an open call later on.
Yes, hit me up. I need some help.
But Francesco, there's a question I want to ask you. I'm going to put you on the hot seat a little bit. You have a lot of volunteers.
Can't wait.
I'll put you on the hot seat. You have a lot of volunteers, but let's be honest, you function in a commercial club space.
Yeah.
That takes money on the bar.
Yeah.
That takes door entry.
Yeah.
Where's the value for the volunteers is my point. Where's the value for the DJs who often play for free?
Yeah.
In a community sense, what do they get out of it?
Absolutely. You're very right. Yeah, we operate from a venue that is a commercial venue. And we are commercial ourselves. Like we're completely bootstrapped, zero funding, at least so far. And I see that as actually I'm proud of that because we're really trying to be self-sufficient and save some money that we can actually expand. We're not done. Like this is not the ultimate shape of where we're at now. It's not the ultimate shape of Panini. Where do volunteers get value? By the way, we don't get all the money from the bar. Wish we did, and we don't charge entrance. So it's not actually that much different from the record shop example in a way, if you want to. But where do volunteers get value from? Good question. You should ask them. I ask myself that question pretty much every single day. And I think, at least for what concerns the radio part, so we have volunteers both in the bar and in the radio. In the bar, we are trying to move to a model where we pay the staff. So, for example, we have a different model at Jolene and Bakken, where Bakken we have fully run by volunteers, the bar, with some help from Bakken staff as well, paid by Bakken. And this most recently development. Jolene, all the bar is paid by Bakken, apart from our Panini maker, was paid by us. For the radio, that's a hot topic for me. Is like I'm trying to handle as much as possible myself on the day, which since we started 2 days a week, it's quite a lot of burden, because there might be a little bit of it's hard work. But I think there is definitely a skill development there. And I think I try my best. I'm often a very grumpy person, and I'm very much a perfectionist, a little bit ADHD, very much ADHD, maybe a little bit autistic as well. So it's not super easy to work with me. But I think I did this also. The benefit of this is that when we started at a very high level, if you ask me. And I think that's what we got praised for, and what people recognize when we started with. Went quite high, and the setup is a hell of a work. Having a moving DJ radio booth, it's not easy. As in having your own infrastructure in a studio. There is just that much things we can automate, that much things we can simplify. Took a long time, but I think I try my best to bring this value from what I learned and what I created at the beginning. And just try to get people to learn these things and to, yeah. And also I think there is a lot of connection and networking that is very good. I've seen new parties starting at Panini. I've seen people moving their first steps in the DJ world. I have seen plenty of people working at the bar as soon as they started moved here, because that was the first place they went to, and they were like, I want to be part of this. And now they have 10 friends. And I think that's the most beautiful part.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I hear people telling me, friendship, feeling belonging to something. That's the most important thing.
I recognize that as well. I have a lot of friends and some people I see here who actively support and volunteer Panini.
Yeah. We're so grateful for that.
Honestly, people who have very high technical knowledge in setting up a big, strong sound system come in to do a DJ setup, which are just foundational skills. I think if you are a DJ, for example, you should generally know. Yeah. So that's one place to be able to gain these skills. And at the lake, you have a production studio. So you're not only a independent radio platform, you also collaborate with people to help them come in and record their radio productions if they have nowhere else to go. Is that correct?
Yeah, sort of. The lake radio is both it's not an open for everybody to just come and record, but we do collaborations where we have this thing called the Lake Productions, where we produce radio in collaboration with other, for example, Ellis, or so we have different kinds of collaborations, but it's not it's open for everybody to just come and produce radio. There is some sort of gatekeeping.
There is a little bit of gatekeeping, yes. And this is what I tried to bring up earlier before.
Yeah.
How do we exclude and how do we bring access in? So can you say already how people can work with you if anyone here is interested?
Yeah, I mean, everybody who wants to make a radio show about music or culture can apply, send us an email, and then what we sometimes need to figure out is if people can, if they're able to, produce it, because we don't have the people power always to all the time sit and assist a radio program. And it takes, if it's a pre-recorded radio program, it takes a little bit of a skill to create it. But I think also in terms of having a lot of responsibility on one person, I think some of the things that we really had to work through was that since we've been here for over 10 years, we had some sort of generation shift, and responsibilities need to be passed on, and we had to ask the question, okay, it's a little morbid, but if this person gets hit by a bus, will the lake radio still exist? And if it's only like one person who actually carries it, then it's not sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we started to like have Skillshare sessions where we everybody who wanted to be engaged in the lake radio learned how to operate the different systems. So, for example, the studio, or how to upload music or programs and stuff like that. And we also recorded it on video, so people who wanted to create stuff could watch those videos. So it was a little bit more accessible. And I think that for us at least, because how do we keep existing? I think that's also about giving out responsibility and giving out trust, and also invite people into the operating room and discuss together how to create the platform, I think. Yeah.
If I may, I think like the skill sharing session is a great idea. I'm gonna definitely steal that from you. I mean, not that we haven't tried something similar to that, but we never had like a session where we say like first Saturday of the month or first Saturday of the second month, we meet, whoever can meet, we're here and we do a longer production, 3 hours maybe. We go run through everything that we do. We have a basic like guide one of our volunteers made. Maybe it's just not enough. The problem for us is like it's getting like it can get technical very quick, and when you get to troubleshooting, it's not enough to learn by heart like the procedure. You know, I need to do this and that. You need to understand a little bit more in depth the mechanisms, and it's actually pretty hard. So I guess like repeating this process, and every time something new is gonna come along, and for us it's mostly the troubleshooting part, because like it's a fallible business we work in. I don't know about your equipment, but ours is very prone to failure, and it's always something different. Sometimes someone forgot to erase the memory on the computer, on the SD card. Sometimes they loses the connection audio between the mixer and the video and the computer, whatever sort of things. And there's always something happening, and it's hard to build these skills.
But I also think, sorry, can I just say no?
Yes, you can come in. I think this is actually moving on to the next point. So we're going to talk about how we sustain our platforms, particularly because we all operate, or most of us, since we're here, very independent DIY way of doing things. We come together, who's available, what skills do you have? Let's make a fucking festival, let's go. But let's be honest, this takes a lot of work, like we were talking about. A lot of volunteers are here, and there's often prone to people burning out. So how do we maintain our platforms? Yes, we can share skills, and we can continue to do that so people have the knowledge that they can actually use in their other practices outside of this space. But what else can we do to maybe look after each other? And is there anything amongst the three of you that you can take from this talk to sustain maybe this community platforms in 3 different iterations that we have here?
Well, I think first of all, just meeting up and starting to talk about how we actually work and what we do is a way to also bring awareness to, for example, different ways to do it. And I think that, that in itself is an important thing to do, because then we discover each other, and maybe also how we can maybe co-produce or do stuff that or somehow use each other's skills in different ways, because we have different setups, we have different spaces, and at least like, in terms of a lot of different kinds of ways to operate radio. So just talking about it, I guess, is also pretty helpful. Yeah,
I agree with this. Like you also mentioned last time we talked about you're part of like a network of independent radios, but it's like I assume it's like actually an online network, right?
No, we also actually meet up.
You actually meet up as well. Yeah. That's nice. You have to share the name afterwards. I'm also part of a group chat on WhatsApp of like it's like around 100 radios, mostly from the UK, but from all over the world, really. But we don't get the chance to meet in person. So like I can't visit their studio that often. I know a couple of them, but yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is that there's so many like local community radios all over Europe right now, all over the world actually. And we start to connect and also co-broadcast on each other's platforms and using each other's audiences to maybe promote local music from, different areas of the world and stuff like that.
Are we hitting the nail here? The question?
Just open it up to...
Could I get the question again, actually? Because I kind of like lost the thread.
Yeah, so we're platforms that are heavily reliant on voluntary community members. And I mean, it's just you for now.
Yeah.
You're very prone...
And hosts.
Very prone to burnout, people dropping off, people feeling like they aren't receiving value for the time they put in. How can we change this? How we can make it more sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing of making it fun and making it like a meaningful work, like for people themselves, like for us is heavily on the hosts, that they have like a desire to kind of keep on doing this. I mean, we're trying to set up the studio so that we can get the best product as possible, like a product that can like compete with like major radio stations production value. And I think that's a part of like making a product that people can be proud of doing, and then they feel proud enough to present to the world and keep on doing it. I think that's like for us that's the most important thing for me, actually. Yeah.
It's for me it's a very sensitive topic because I'm very close to burnout. I have 2 jobs now, working in nightlife. It's a lot. I work also as a booker at Jolene, as probably most people here know. But I think one of the reasons also why I think Radio Panini has potential to actually do better than it is currently doing in this sense is the fact that we actually do have a revenue stream. So we have a fairly well-made business model and revenue model, which eventually will allow us, when we can expand to more than 2 days a week, because that is simply not sustainable to pay everyone with 2 days, 15 hours, 12, 13 hours a week of broadcasting, You make some money in the night, in the evening, but at 3 in the afternoon, it's not that we have like 100 guests and like make thousands and thousands of kronas. I put it like this. But I think the point of having like a revenue stream will eventually allow us to pay producers and pay artists as well. I think that's actually artists. There's a big topic, paying artists, paying the producers, like the music producers through Coda, etc. We haven't touched upon that, but definitely something important as well, so that everyone gets paid. But in terms of producers, of the radio producers, like getting to pay them, that means also responsibilization. I had this talk recently with some of the volunteers that took over me a few weeks ago when I was away the festival with no internet connection. And unfortunately this weekend, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Friday we have a lot of technical problems, some human error. Saturday, most human error. And the conversation was like, it's fine to make mistakes, but the moment I'm not there and you're paid, it's a job, and you need to make sure that you are up to the task. And I think that's probably my way of going, a bit severe, but yeah.
Yes, I mean, shit will happen, but
absolutely no, that's nothing wrong with that.
But just to, I mean, the next 5 minutes we've been talking a bit. Maybe let's keep our responses a little bit shorter, just so we can wrap it up soon. Let's look into the future. I know all 3 of us have had this discussion already, but what are some of your ambitions? So, for example, Panini, working towards having a curator group that maybe helps with the programming, so you're a little bit step back and a little less biased about who you're programming. Mm-hmm. I know the Lake, for example, you actually receive funding, so you have a little bit more freedom, tell me if I'm wrong, to kind of explore different formats and different ways of doing your radio. Perhaps there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean, we do have funding, and that basically covers because we pay quota, and it pays the rents and for our little studio, and it pays some administrative work. So like the big workload, there is a person who really takes on a big workload, so they get paid a little bit for that. But yes, it doesn't. We have fully editorial freedom, so we can explore formats how we want to, and also we try to, because we've been around for 10 years, we do have some sort of like brand, or I don't know, like people in the cultural sphere in Copenhagen maybe knows about us. So we managed to do a production team where we use it's called the Lake Productions, as we also maybe touched upon. So radio producers, there are pretty skillful radio producers at the Lake Radio, and we can do these where we find fundings for doing like collaborations, and then the radio producers get a cut, and then the Lake Radio get a cut, and it's also a structure of trying to sustain the Lake Radio. But I also think the thing about skill sharing is also about engaging people to actually take responsibility to, for example, myself, in the beginning I was I'm a little bit out here, but since I've learned how to operate stuff, I also create more, if that makes sense. So I think that's a good way to also sustain a platform.
And you're on this panel representing the Lake as well.
Yeah.
What are your future ambitions?
Well, in my wildest dream would be a 24-hour radio, but that's far out in the future. We can talk about that in about 5 years' time. No, I'm trying to add new shows every 3 or 4 months. It started out with just me doing 4 hours every Monday. I did that for a couple of months. Then we turned on Wednesdays, and we're slowly getting into Fridays as well. But my dream, we're focused heavily on morning radio. I've always been a big fan of morning radio, like slowly waking up, some guy talking a bit about it, like some new music. Doesn't have to be that kind of a deep in-depth thing. So we're trying to find our own spot in this radio landscape. So we're gonna keep on doing the morning shows. That's gonna be a thing. So it's 10 to 12. So the goal is to add more and more shows for those slots. But we are also heading towards doing more pre-recorded stuff. We have some one-offs and some specials on the way. We have a special on 70s blaxploitation soundtracks coming up soon, I don't know, 3 or 4 part series. So yeah, I want to add more to your mornings, and add some more pre-recorded stuff for midday stuff.
So are you openly recruiting now? So anyone who wants to join?
We are open to everybody, as long as you have passion and you practiced a bit at home, or you read up on the stuff you want to present. We are open to everybody. It's not like you have to have a complete skill set of radio presenting. That stuff can be learned. When I started, I probably didn't have the best radio voice, but I kind of practiced. And when we turn on, it's
that's good to
thank
me.
you very much. Thank you very much. But all this stuff can be learned, and most hosts we have on, they weren't that good to begin with, but everybody is catching up and getting way more comfortable. So more mornings.
More mornings.
Zen music.
Okay, and just to end it off, because I wanted to give you the final say, I know you have some big ambitions for Panini, aka perhaps having your own space.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah,
no, I forced you to.
There is probably too many things, too many plans at the same time. But
maybe focus on.
Yeah, I think right now we're trying to, as I said, like opening up our booking team. So we're 4 people. We started with an approach where we have curated days. So like one person takes one weekend, or one person take one day, or 2 people take over a weekend, and like that. And I think when and if this smoothen out enough, I would really like to open up to pre-recorded shows as well. And the idea with that would be to have get our residents or like potential curators. It could be you guys, actually, people that have like some experience and some foothold in whatever scene we're talking about, and niche and genre, and get them to actually curate a day. It can be like 5 hours, can be 6 hours, can be 10 hours, with a mix of pre-recorded shows from people from all over the world, friends from abroad, re-streams of previous shows we recorded live at Panini, maybe a mix of them, whatever, really. So I think that would be the curatorial approach I would like to have in the future in terms of that. And regarding our own space, again, the whole project needs to become more self-sufficient and more independent even than it is now. Beautiful to start with working in a club, and it worked very well. So we would like to do something similar. It's not we want to change completely the concept. We would like to have a place where you can still come, dance, maybe, or even dance later, maybe a club afterwards, but have a place where we can have 100% control of our finances and to start paying people, for example, more people. We already have like 5 people on payroll now, so it's actually quite no one full time, but yeah. But when we can get to start paying maybe the artists like a symbolic fee, those 200 kronas that like is how much it costs them to buy the music for the show, maybe, or we can pay the bartenders and we can pay the producers, then I'm gonna be very happy. Yeah.
Yes, I wish that for you. That would be amazing, especially for the club scene. I want to say thank you. We're going to open the floor up to any questions, but thank you for the 3 of you for joining me. I invited these 3 on because in the contemporary community independent internet radio space, I felt like you offered something different. You know, we have other players like Drift. We have players that came before like MMH Radio. We also have Christiania Radio. We have Bolsha for Bragging Had a Radio. So these platforms have come and gone, but I felt like right now you're quite significant and offer a space for different styles of people. So thank you very much for your time. And I want to open to anyone who has any questions for either PalmsPree, The Lake, or Panini.
Do you want to repeat the question? Shall I?
So you asked, what are your thoughts on the lack of collaborations amongst the different community platforms, community radio platforms?
I think we simply lack the time often.
It was a point, but it's actually something I think we should leave the next 10 minutes to talk about that.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Is it something that you've been conscious about? Working with other people and it just hasn't happened? Or have you been quite focused on just developing your platform? Why do you think there isn't as much collaboration?
For me, I can answer this question with good authority. I think I am so down to collaborate in whatever way. And I think we proved that in many ways. We're very, very open to collaborate. I think often we just lack the time. So you're just like so self-absorbed with like making whatever you're into that it actually takes time to collaborate and to, exchange ideas, etc. And then also can be also a bit draining process sometimes. So much input. For example, what I get from this talk, there is a lot of input and that I get. I need to go home and process and like talk to people. And so I guess sometimes it's just like, yeah.
Also, I think we have to remember that local radio in Copenhagen, like especially in the scale that we're in at the moment, is very, very new to Copenhagen. You mentioned quickly like MMH Radio, a radio station that went on for a couple of years, and they were kind of like the only ones for a while, like in that more of a kind of a UK inspired world of doing radio. So I think it's also a very early point because everybody is just trying to figure out how to run a minimum of just getting their own stations to go smoothly. So I think it's probably something that we can hopefully see in the future. I mean, there's again we're a small country, a small city with like a handful of stations. I mean, yeah, everybody could be on the same website, just like a full-on DR, but just with 5, 6, 7, 8 different streams to tap into. So yeah, I think it's still early to kind of like figure all that out, but hopefully it will happen.
I think it's also not a problem only relating to Copenhagen. I feel like it's just how it is. We tend to share more maybe with people from other countries, at least us, than what we do in Copenhagen. So that's interesting. But I don't think there is any grudge or like conflict or like I don't feel it so much. At least especially when you don't overlap much in audience and or what kind of offering you have.
Yes, what's your question? How did your radio platforms fit into the short-term, short-form content media landscape? And how do you retain your audience within your platforms being more long-form?
I think like for PalmsPree FM, I think we fit very badly into the short format because every show is between 2 and 4 hours long. So that kind of like takes us a bit out of the that equation. But again, like to retain, like keep people listening. Again, we want to keep the quality high. Make sure that people can hear what's being talked about. That's been problems for a lot of radio stations that want to do talk radio. So yeah, that's how we want to keep. I think we want to be the opposite of short term or short format presence.
Yeah, I think also it's about like actually carving out a space where it's not on those premises, I guess. And I mean, we've existed again for over 10 years, and I think like the listening format has been the same throughout over 10 years. That, for example, it's the stream of music. The algorithm is set up in a way that you never know what's next. It's the opposite or the antidote of like really like, algorithms that are only serving you what you want to listen to. And that like point is still the same as it was 10 years ago and stuff like that. So I think like, of course we need to think about like, how do we reach, because I think a lot of the things that we do is also documenting the current scene, like what is going on, and building an archive over music that is going on in Copenhagen. Then that's the important thing for us to keep on providing this space more than thinking about formats. The thing is to make a space where you can actually experiment with formats, I would say, and have the freedom to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think currently we feed very much into this short form game, especially in the DJ community. Like everything, like who gets bookings is decided by how many likes you have, like on a 30 seconds video on Instagram. And admittedly, we contribute to this, which I think is a plague of our time. I'm not proud of that at all. But that's what people want. That's what DJs want. That's what the audience want, especially in the electronic music scene, dance floor music scene. I don't know. I'm actually curious to hear, talking about listenership. You have a 4 hours radio show, which is freaking amazing. But how long do actually people listen to? For us, like, I think I don't have an actual statistic, but I'm there almost every weekend. Usually, the average listening time is between 3 and 10 minutes, which is already better than what the statistics show. But people can listen to the same thing for more than 3 minutes, for more than 10 minutes.
I think
what does it speak about us, and what does it speak about society? I don't know. We don't contribute positively to change this, but
I was just going to add, I think a point is, what are they listening to? Because if it's a more archival documentary style, perhaps you're listening to this while you're at work, perhaps you're cleaning your house and it's background, whereas DJ promo mixes serves a different purpose, and it isn't necessarily bad, it just serves a different purpose. Pre-drinks, you're out with your friends, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a point. Like, we are mostly known for our pre-party vibe. So our programming between 7 in the evening and 10 in the evening, 11 in the evening. We actually don't only do that. We have some very, very good radio hosts that do like more experimental things. And actually, they do actually have some traction as well. But still, maybe it's the format, yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Future goals?
Future goals?
Yeah, for you? Oh.
Please, if you have some ideas, and try prove us wrong, and have some ideas of like some interesting radio shows, experimental ones, engaging with the audience, engaging with the chat, which is not that experimental in 2025, but it's still more experimental than what we're doing now. Please do reach out. There is a space for you. We get so many applications from DJs, especially like DJs playing very hard music. Sign of our times, I guess, again. We don't have space for all of them, but we definitely have more space for interesting early hour shows where you can talk and like invite guests and whatever. The scene is yours. You don't have to be, as you were saying, you don't need to be a radio master and super experienced. Like, come try it out. It's fun.
Okay. Last question, if anyone's interested.
Thank you so much.
Don't get into radio to get rich.
No.
Or music or anything, you know. Yeah. Love first, and then maybe one day.
Yeah, it's
maybe
because you want something to exist.
Yeah. I mean, if I were taking a salary for all the stuff I've done through the years, I would be a millionaire. But yeah.
Exactly, and I think that can even be applied to this festival here. There's a lot of people who are picking up trash, who are on the build-up, breakdown, who are doing our sound tech for free, and we really appreciate all the effort. So thank you for that, and I'm just going to wrap up here. Thank you for everyone for listening. I just want to say maybe one last reflections. Where can people sign up if they want to volunteer or be a part of your radio?
Yeah, I apologize for everyone who sign up on our website. It goes to an old form, and sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. Please, the easiest way is just come down at the bar, introduce yourself, or send us an email at hello@radiopanini.com. Again, that email is mostly Simone that looks at it. It's also arguably where most of our volunteers these days are. It's definitely a bigger family and team, because we need more people just to make it bearable to work maybe like only a couple of hours and then have fun the rest of the evening. But if you want to contribute to radio, you can also just send an email to radio@radiopanini.com. Or come down, say hi, introduce yourself, best way.
Yeah, and since we don't have a physical space that is super accessible, you could always contact us at the contact@thelakeradio.com. And you can, if you have a show or like some pre-production of something that you want to talk about, it's a good platform for that. Or you can you can do music submissions, and you can also just come around, and we have these meetings where we discuss what we would like to do with the Lake Radio, and you're always welcome to just pop by and listen or come with ideas or whatever. So feel free to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're ever on Nørrebro, just swing by the record store. I will be there 90% of the time. And let's drink some coffee and talk music, and we'll probably be able to figure out something cool. Yeah.
I need to do that, actually. It's been a while.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. That's it. That's a wrap. It's done.